She thought the cowboy hired her to cook until his daughter whispered, "I picked you to be my mommy." The planet stretched endlessly under twin suns, its soil reddish-brown and dusted with sparse green patches of alien grasses. She had traveled hundreds of light years from her crowded home colony, seeking a job that could finally give her space to breathe and perhaps to find herself. The shuttle landed with a gentle thud, and the ramp extended. Ilara adjusted the straps of her bag and stepped out, letting the warm, dry air wash over her. She blinked against the sunlight and looked up at the modest ranch house ahead. It was smaller than she imagined, built with reinforced metals and lightweight alloys, yet somehow it radiated an air of quiet resilience. Beyond it, fields stretched toward the horizon, dotted with crops struggling against the harsh conditions of the planet. A few animals grazed near a low fence, watching her approach with wary curiosity. "Welcome to Cade Ranch," said a deep voice, breaking her moment of awe. Ilara turned and saw a tall man, broad-shouldered, with sun-weathered skin and a strong jawline. His hair was dark, streaked with silver at the temples. He wore a simple shirt and sturdy trousers, boots scuffed from years of work. There was no pretension in his stance, only the kind of solid presence that reminded her of old photographs of frontier settlers. "You must be Ilara," he said. His eyes, dark and sharp, studied her as if trying to guess her every thought. "I'm Rylan Cade. I hear you're a good cook." Ilara smiled politely, adjusting the strap of her bag. "I do my best. I can also help with other things: repairs, planting, organizing supplies. I've done a lot of work on small colonies before." Ryland's lips curved slightly, the hint of a grin breaking through his usual serious demeanor. "Good. You'll need that. Things here aren't easy. Crops fail, machinery breaks, and the winds, well, they're not forgiving." Ilara nodded, already feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She had hoped for a quiet job, maybe a chance to cook meals in peace, but it was clear this place demanded much more. Before she could reply, a small voice called from behind her. "Daddy, who's she?" Ilara turned and saw a little girl standing near the edge of the porch. She couldn't have been more than 8, with curly brown hair tied into a loose braid and bright, curious eyes that seemed far older than her years. The girl's hands were clasped nervously in front of her. "This is Ilara," Ryland said, stepping closer to her daughter. "She's going to help us with the ranch." The girl studied Ilara carefully, tilting her head. Then she took a few cautious steps forward. "Hi," she said softly. Ilara knelt down to be at eye level. "Hi there, I'm Ilara. What's your name?" "Lena," the girl replied. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity and something else, something like hope. Ilara smiled warmly. "It's nice to meet you, Lena. I'll try to make some really good meals while I'm here." Lena nodded, but she didn't speak again. Instead, she slipped back into the house, peeking over the doorway like a tiny, watchful guardian. Ilara straightened up and followed Ryland toward the house. The interior was simple but welcoming. Metal walls had been softened with warm fabrics and rugs. Small personal touches, photographs, a few toys, and carefully potted plants made the house feel like a home despite the harshness outside. "You'll have your own room," Ryland said, opening a door to a small, tidy space. "Kitchen's this way." Ilara nodded, placing her bag down and looking around. The room had a small bed, a desk, and a window that looked out over the fields. "It's perfect," she said softly. Ryland grunted. "Don't get too comfortable yet. There's work to do." They moved into the kitchen next, a surprisingly spacious room filled with tools, containers, and a small hydroponic system for growing vegetables. The smells of dried herbs and stored grains hinted at past meals, though the kitchen was clearly not in daily use recently. "You'll need to fix some things," Ryland said, pointing to a few cracked storage bins and a half-broken food replicator. "We don't have much in the way of help. That's why you're here." Ilara set to work immediately, examining the tools and supplies. As she moved about, Lena appeared again, this time climbing onto a stool to watch her closely. "You're really good at this," Lena said softly, almost whispering. Alara looked at her and smiled. "I try my best. Are you helping your dad on the ranch too?" Lena shook her head. "Not really. I try, but I'm not strong enough yet." She paused, then added in a whisper, "I picked you to be my mommy." Alara froze. Her hands stilling on the workbench, she looked at Lena in shock. The girl's eyes were earnest, full of trust and longing. Alara's mind raced. She had expected a job as a cook. She had not expected this. Ryland, standing behind her, cleared his throat awkwardly. "Lena," he began, but the little girl held up a hand. "I know what I said," she whispered. "I wanted you, Alara. You'll stay, right?" Alara swallowed hard, feeling a strange warmth bloom in her chest. This was unexpected, terrifying, but also wonderful. "I'll stay," she said carefully. "I'll do my best." Lena's face lit up with a small, victorious smile, and she ran off toward her room. Alara exhaled, trying to collect herself. Rylan watched her for a moment, then gave a slow nod. "You'll need more than cooking skills if you want to stay. This place, it tests people." Alara understood that fully. She had seen the winds outside, the struggling crops and the stubborn machinery. But she also saw something else, possibility, and maybe even family. That evening, as the twin suns dipped behind the distant hills, Alara cooked her first meal for Rylan and Lena. She kept it simple, a stew of vegetables grown in their hydroponics system and bread baked from stored grains. But every bite was filled with care. Lena ate eagerly, her eyes occasionally darting toward Alara for approval. Rylan, quieter than Lena, ate steadily, glancing up only now and then. When he did, there was a hint of respect in his gaze. Alara felt it settle over her like a promise. She could be more than a cook here. She could be part of something bigger. After dinner, Lena curled up on the couch with a small blanket, eyes heavy with sleep. She yawned and whispered, almost like a secret, "I'm glad you're here, Mommy." Alara's heart skipped a beat. She realized that this was the start of something she hadn't even imagined, a connection that was stronger than any job description. Outside, the wind blew softly across the plains, carrying with it the scent of dust and growing plants. Alara stepped to the window, looking out at the vast, open land. This world was harsh, unforgiving, and lonely, but it was also full of life and potential. And for the first time in a long while, she felt like she belonged. As the stars began to shimmer in the twin suns' afterglow, Alara knew that her life had changed forever. This ranch, this family, and this little girl who had chosen her, none of it was what she expected. But sometimes the best things in life were exactly that, unexpected. And so, her journey on Orlia 9 had truly begun. The morning sun rose slowly over the wide plains of Orlia 9, spilling gold and amber light across the Cade Ranch. Alara Quinn woke in her small room, stretching and listening to the quiet hum of the wind turbines outside. She had slept well, but the work waiting for her already whispered from beyond the walls. She dressed quickly and moved toward the kitchen, eager to start her first full day. Lena was already awake, her hair messy from sleep, sitting at the small kitchen table with a cup of warm liquid that smelled faintly of herbs. "Good morning," Alara said cheerfully. "Morning," Lena chirped, smiling. "I helped water the plants while you were asleep." Alara's eyes widened in surprise. "You did," Lena nodded eagerly. "I wanted to see if I could help before breakfast." Alara felt her chest swell with a mix of pride and warmth. "That's wonderful, Lena. You're learning quickly." Rylan entered, his boots thudding softly on the metal floor. He wore his usual plain shirt and trousers, and there was a hint of tiredness in his eyes, though his presence was as solid as ever. "Good morning," he said gruffly. "Breakfast smells good." Alara had prepared a simple meal, eggs, a little bread, and fresh vegetables from the hydroponics garden. They ate quietly at first, the three of them adjusting to each other's rhythms. But Alara noticed something in Lena's eyes, curiosity and something unspoken. After breakfast, Rylan led Alara out to the fields. You'll see why I hired you for more than cooking, he said, gesturing to the crops. The soil's difficult here and the plants don't like this weather. We've been fighting failures for months. Alara knelt near a row of struggling plants, examining their leaves. The tips were browning, the stems weak. She frowned thoughtfully. The soil seems low on nutrients and the irrigation system isn't distributing evenly, she said. I can try fixing it. Rylan raised an eyebrow. I'll watch. Lena trailed behind, her small hands brushing against the leaves as if she could magically make them stronger. Can I help too? She asked. Alara smiled. Of course, I'll show you what to do. Together they worked on the crops. Alara showed Lena how to check moisture levels, adjust the irrigation flow, and reinforce plant supports. Lena watched carefully, asking questions that surprised Alara with their insight. As the day went on, the ranch revealed more of its challenges. The machinery that pumped water from the underground reservoirs was old and partially broken. Some sections of the fencing had been damaged by small alien animals that roamed the plains. Alara realized that she would need to fix both mechanical and biological problems if this ranch was to survive. When she approached the water pump, she noticed rust and wear on the pipes. This will need replacing, she said aloud, inspecting the gears. I can patch it for now, but we'll need new materials soon. Rylan stepped beside her. I've been meaning to do that for months, but I didn't have the time. You really know what you're doing, don't you? Alara shrugged, trying to hide her pride. I've learned a few things. Humans are good at adapting, and I've had to survive on small colonies before. Rylan studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Good, you'll fit here better than I thought. Lena, watching silently, suddenly tugged at Alara's sleeve. Look, she said. A group of small, fox-like alien creatures was nibbling at the edge of the crops, their fur gleaming under the sun. They're going to eat everything. Alara's mind raced. She didn't want to harm the creatures, but the crops were precious. We need to protect the plants without hurting them, she said. She looked around, spotting thin wires and leftover parts from broken machinery. Come on, Lena. Help me make a little fence, just high enough to keep them out, Alara suggested. Together they built a simple barrier, careful not to trap or hurt the creatures. When it was finished, the alien animals paused, sniffed the air, and then scampered away. Lena clapped her hands with delight. That's amazing, she said. You saved the plants. Alara smiled, ruffling the girl's hair. Humans are clever when we have to be. Rylan, watching from a distance, felt a rare warmth in his chest. He had expected a cook, someone to prepare meals and leave. Instead, he had found someone who could think, act, and protect the ranch with intelligence and care. As the day wore on, the sun climbed higher, and the twin suns of Orlia 9 beat down harshly. Alara and Lena took turns watering plants, reinforcing fences, and checking the machinery. Every task brought small victories. Every problem solved reminded them of human resilience and ingenuity. By late afternoon, they had made noticeable improvements. The plants were better supported, the water was flowing evenly, and the small creatures had been kept away without harm. Lena leaned against Alara, exhausted but happy. Thank you, Lena whispered. I like learning from you. Alara felt her heart swell again. I like teaching you, she said softly. You're very smart, Lena. Rylan joined them, wiping sweat from his brow. You two make a good team, he said. I didn't think it would be possible so quickly. Alara looked around at the ranch, at the fields stretching into the distance, at the machines she had begun to repair, and at the small girl who had already started to see her as family. She realized this life would be hard, yes, but it was also full of possibilities. The twin suns began to lower, casting long shadows across the land. The wind picked up, carrying dust and dry grass in slow, swirling patterns. Alara felt a chill despite the warmth of the day. Rylan spoke quietly, almost to himself. This land, it's beautiful, but it doesn't forgive mistakes. If you can't adapt, it will take everything from you. Alara nodded, understanding. I know, but we'll figure it out together." That evening, the three of them gathered in the small kitchen again. Alara cooked a simple meal from the partially restored hydroponic system. The smell of fresh bread and vegetables filled the room, a small comfort against the harshness outside. Lena ate quickly, chatting about the day's adventures and the plants they had saved. Rylan was quieter, observing both of them as they worked. He felt a mix of relief and admiration. He had expected a cook, someone to fill his daughter's stomach. Instead, he had found someone who could fill their lives with hope and ingenuity. As night fell, Alara stepped outside for a moment, looking up at the twin moons rising over the plains. She could hear the distant sounds of alien wildlife, the rustling of plants in the wind, and the soft hum of the repaired machinery. This was not the quiet, easy life she had imagined, but it was alive, vibrant, full of challenges that would test her and push her to grow, and for the first time in years she felt ready for it. When she returned inside, Lena was already curled up with a blanket, eyes heavy with sleep. Alara bent down and kissed her forehead gently. "You're going to sleep well tonight, I think," she whispered. Lena smiled sleepily. "I'm glad you're here," she murmured. Alara smiled back, feeling the warmth of the bond between them. She knew the journey ahead would be difficult. Machines would fail, crops might die, storms could come, and the ranch would demand everything she had. But she also knew that humans could endure. Humans could adapt. Humans could rise to challenges that no machine, no alien, and no force could fully overcome. As the twin moons cast their gentle light over the ranch, Alara felt a quiet confidence bloom inside her. Orlia 9 was harsh, unforgiving, and lonely, but it was also full of life and possibility, and together they would face it all, for Lena, for Rylan, for the ranch, for humanity's strength and heart. And so the second day at Cade Ranch ended, leaving Alara with a feeling she had not felt in a long time: hope. Tomorrow she would face more challenges, but tonight she rested with the knowledge that humans were capable of anything when they worked together, with courage, ingenuity, and heart. The next morning, Orlia 9 greeted the ranch with a pale, soft light as the twin suns rose slowly over the horizon. Alara Quinn woke early, as was now her habit, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. The work of the ranch was never done, and today promised challenges beyond tending crops or repairing old machinery. She stepped outside and inhaled the cool morning air. The plains stretched endlessly, dotted with small patches of green and the faint shimmer of distant water reservoirs. Alara felt a deep thrill. Each day she was discovering more of this world and of herself, her strength, her cleverness, and the way humans could thrive even in the most unforgiving places. Lena was already awake, kneeling near the hydroponics section, examining the growth of a new batch of vegetables. "Good morning, Alara," she called, waving energetically. "Good morning, Lena," Alara replied with a smile. "Did you sleep well?" Lena nodded. "Yes, and I dreamt of helping the ranch even more today." Alara's heart warmed. The little girl's determination reminded her of the best parts of humanity: the courage to try, the curiosity to learn, and the hope to make things better. "Well, we have a lot to do," she said. "Let's start with the fields. I want to check the irrigation system again." Rylan joined them, carrying a small toolkit and his usual air of quiet determination. "I've been thinking," he said, eyes scanning the horizon. "We might need to expand the fences. The small alien animals are learning our tricks. They're cleverer than we thought." Alara nodded thoughtfully. "We'll need a plan that protects the crops without harming them. Humans are good at finding clever solutions, remember." The trio set off across the fields. Alara led Lena in checking the soil, while Rylan examined the fences. The girl followed closely, repeating the steps Alara taught her yesterday, eager to show she could contribute. Hours passed, and the sun climbed higher. Sweat beaded on their foreheads, and Alara could feel the heat of Orlia 9 pressing against their skin. but the work was rewarding. Together, they repaired gaps in the fences, adjusted irrigation lines, and reinforced the plants with extra supports. Each success, no matter how small, was a victory against the harsh frontier. Around midday, a sudden sound broke their rhythm, a low, mechanical whir from the horizon. Ilara squinted, raising a hand to shield her eyes. In the distance, a small scouting drone hovered above the fields, its metallic surface glinting in the sunlight. "That's not ours," Ryland said, his voice tense. "Someone's checking on the ranch." Ilara's mind raced. She had heard stories of corporate companies sending automated scouts to survey independent settlers. If they found problems or thought the land wasn't profitable, they could claim it. She felt a surge of protectiveness. This ranch, these fields, Lena, they all depended on them. Lena's hand found Ilara's, gripping it tightly. "What is that?" she asked, fear and curiosity mingling in her voice. Ilara crouched to meet her eyes. "It's a scout drone. Someone wants to see our ranch, but we can handle this, Lena. Humans are clever, remember." The girl nodded, a spark of determination lighting her face. Together, they devised a plan to make the ranch appear fully functional and productive. Ilara directed Lena to water certain plants and rearrange supplies, while she and Rylan made minor adjustments to machinery, fixing small leaks and covering broken parts. As they worked, the bond between them strengthened. Lena's admiration for Ilara grew, and Ilara realized she had begun to see Lena not just as a child in need of care, but as a partner in survival and ingenuity. Rylan, once distant and reserved, slowly began to trust Ilara's judgment, letting her take the lead in organizing the day's tasks. By late afternoon, the scout drone finally moved closer, circling the ranch before retreating back toward the horizon. Ilara exhaled in relief. "That could have gone worse," she said. Rylan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did well, better than I imagined. I think this ranch has a real chance now." Lena clapped her hands, jumping up and down. "We did it. We're a team." Ilara laughed, ruffling the girl's hair. "Yes, we are." The day was far from over. As they returned to the house, clouds began to gather on the horizon. A wind picked up, carrying dust and the faint metallic tang of the planet's atmosphere. Ilara studied the sky carefully. Storms on Orlia 9 could be sudden and fierce. "Rylan, we should secure the fields and the animals," she said. He nodded. "Good thinking. Let's move." Together, they hurried to tie down equipment, cover the crops with protective sheets, and guide the small herd of animals into the temporary shelter near the barn. Lena helped where she could, her small hands clutching ropes and plant covers under Ilara's supervision. The first gusts of wind arrived just as the sun dipped lower. Dust swirled across the plains, and the temperature dropped rapidly. Ilara's heart pounded, not from fear, but from the knowledge that they had prepared as best they could. The storm tested not only their skills but their ability to work together. The wind howled through the fields, shaking the fences and whipping the crops. Ilara and Rylan stayed outside, bracing against the gusts, while Lena helped from the safety of the barn. For hours, they battled the storm with nothing but human determination and quick thinking. At last, the wind began to die down, leaving the ranch battered but intact. The crops were shaken but standing, the animals safe, and the fences repaired. Ilara's hands were scraped and dirty, her hair plastered with sweat, but she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Rylan looked around, pride evident in his eyes. "You did it. We did it." The ranch, it survived. Lena ran to them, hugging Ilara tightly. "You're amazing, Mommy," she whispered. Ilara smiled, feeling the warmth of the girl's words. She had never imagined that she would feel so needed, so important in someone else's life. But here, on this distant world, she was exactly where she was meant to be. That night, after the storm had passed, they gathered in the kitchen again. Ilara prepared a simple meal from the salvaged crops and supplies. The aroma of fresh bread and vegetables filled the room, bringing comfort after the day's ordeal. Lena ate quickly, telling stories of her small acts of bravery during the storm, how she had helped secure a tarp, how she had checked on the animals, how she had felt like part of the team. Alara listened, smiling and correcting her gently when needed, but mostly just soaking in the joy of shared accomplishment. Rylan, usually quiet during meals, spoke up. "You both did more than survive today. You made this ranch stronger. Humans, you're resilient in ways machines could never match." Alara felt a surge of pride. "We work together," she said. "That's what makes us strong." As the meal ended, Lena leaned against Alara, yawning. "I love this place," she whispered. "And I love you." Alara hugged her, feeling the weight and warmth of responsibility, affection, and hope. "I love you too, Lena," she whispered back. Ryland stood silently, watching the bond grow between the two. He realized that Alara had become more than a worker on his ranch. She was a partner in survival, a teacher, and perhaps most importantly, a part of their little family. Outside, the plains were calm once again. The twin moons rose over the horizon, casting gentle light across the fields. Alara stepped outside, feeling the quiet strength of the land beneath her feet. This world was harsh, unpredictable, and lonely, but it was also beautiful, full of life, and full of possibility. She thought of the scout drone and the corporate entities that might one day challenge their independence. But for now, she felt a quiet confidence. Humans could endure. Humans could think, adapt, and rise to challenges no machine or threat could fully conquer. And with Lena and Rylan by her side, she felt ready for whatever this frontier world could throw at them. The storm had tested them, but it had also taught them something invaluable. Humans were capable of more than survival. They could thrive, grow, and create bonds that made them stronger than any obstacle. As night settled over the ranch, Alara looked up at the twin moons, feeling a deep sense of purpose. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight they had proven that together they could face anything. And in the quiet glow of Orlia 9 moons, Alara finally felt the truth of Lena's words. She belonged here, not just as a helper, not just as a cook, but as part of a family forged in the stars. The next morning, Orlia 9 was quiet and still. The twin suns rose slowly over the plains, painting the fields in warm gold and copper. Alara Quinn stretched, feeling the ache in her muscles from the previous day's storm. But there was no time to rest. The ranch demanded attention, and a new challenge was waiting for them. As she walked toward the kitchen, she noticed Lena standing by the window, her small hands pressed against the glass. Her eyes were wide and serious, scanning the horizon. "Morning, Lena," Alara said softly. "What are you looking at?" "The scout drone came back," Lena whispered. "It's closer this time. It's like they're watching us." Alara felt a twinge of worry, but she quickly pushed it aside. Fear was a luxury they could not afford. "Then we'll need to be smart," she said. "Humans are clever. We'll show them the ranch is strong, organized, and thriving. That's the kind of strength no machine can ignore." Rylan appeared behind them, his usual quiet presence steady and calm. "You're right. I've seen what Alara can do. If anyone can make this ranch look alive, it's her. And Lena, you've helped too. You're part of this now." Lena's face lit up, a mix of pride and determination. "I want to help. I want the ranch to stay ours." Alara smiled, her heart warming at the girl's bravery. "Then let's get to work." The morning was a flurry of activity. Alara organized the crops, repaired sections of fencing, and checked the irrigation system to ensure water flowed evenly. Lena moved quickly, repeating the lessons Alara had taught her about checking soil moisture and supporting plants. Rylan worked silently beside them, reinforcing structures and helping where his strength was needed. "Watch this," Alara said, pointing to a row of fragile plants. "If we use these simple supports, the plants will grow straighter and stronger. And if we stagger the watering schedule, the soil will stay healthier." Lena nodded, quickly arranging the supports while Rylan adjusted the water lines. Alara's instructions were clear and practical, and together they moved with efficiency and purpose. It was a beautiful display of human teamwork, intuition, skill, and heart combining to protect life on a harsh world. By midday, the scout drone had circled overhead, its whirring blades making a faint noise that made Lena's shoulders tense. "It's watching us," she said nervously. Alara crouched beside her, speaking quietly. "Let it watch. We're ready. We've shown them that humans can adapt, organize, and protect what matters. They may have machines, but we have brains, creativity, and courage. That counts for more than any drone." Rylan approached, giving a small nod of approval. "We're showing strength, not with weapons, but with action. That's the kind of strength that lasts." As the day continued, Alara decided to create a clever display for the drone. Using the resources they had, she and Lena arranged sections of the ranch to appear fully productive. Broken machines were hidden, fences were repaired, and the animals moved to areas where they could be seen grazing. Even the smallest details were attended to, small victories that would make the ranch appear thriving to an outside observer. "You're thinking like a strategist," Rylan commented, impressed. "I didn't think about the details like that." Alara smiled. "Humans are good at solving problems, especially when we care about what we're protecting." Lena worked alongside them, moving trays of vegetables and adjusting the small hydroponic lights to give the plants a healthy glow. "It's like we're putting on a show," she said, laughing. "But it's real, everything is really alive." Alara nodded. "Exactly, and sometimes showing life is the best way to protect it." Late in the afternoon, the drone hovered directly above the main field. Its sensors scanned the ranch, but thanks to Alara's careful planning, it saw only thriving crops, well-maintained fences, and animals moving freely. Lena watched from beside her, biting her lip nervously. The two of them held their breath as the drone finally ascended, moving back toward the horizon. "It worked," Lena whispered, a relieved smile spreading across her face. "We fooled them," Alara chuckled. "Not fooled, Lena, we showed them the truth. Humans can survive and thrive in ways machines can't always understand." Rylan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've done more than save the ranch today. You've shown what humans are capable of. I underestimated what you could bring to this place." Alara felt a swell of pride. "We all did it together. Humans are at our best when we work together. That's something no machine can ever replace." As the sun dipped lower, shadows stretching across the fields, a sudden alert came from the communications panel inside the house. A holographic message flickered to life, an official notice from the corporate entity that had sent the scout drone. It was formal, precise, and slightly threatening. The ranch must meet certain productivity standards, or ownership could be contested. Ryland's jaw tightened. "So they've taken notice, and they think they can intimidate us." Alara read the message carefully. "They're counting on fear," she said softly. "But we've proven we can adapt. We'll meet their standards not because we're afraid, but because humans rise to challenges. We can outthink them." Lena watched silently, eyes wide. "Are they going to take our ranch?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Alara knelt down to her level. "No, Lena, not if we work together. Humans are strong when we protect what we love. That's the real power. And that includes all of us, me, you, and Rylan." The girl nodded slowly, drawing strength from Alara's words. Together, they made a plan. They would show the corporate inspectors that the ranch was fully functional, productive, and thriving. Every crop, every animal, every system would be carefully prepared. And they would do it using ingenuity, care, and teamwork, without violence, without fear controlling them. The next day, they put the plan into action. Alara directed Lena and Rylan with precision, moving crops, repairing equipment, and even making small innovations to improve efficiency. The little girl ran errands with energy and excitement, carrying water trays, adjusting lights, and proudly showing off her contributions. Rylan worked alongside them, his respect for Alara deepening with every clever adjustment and small victory. By the time the inspectors arrived in the late afternoon, the ranch was transformed. Everything looked orderly, productive, and alive. Crops swayed gently in the breeze, animals grazed peacefully, and every machine appeared functional. The inspectors moved slowly through the fields, scanning the land with precise instruments, yet finding nothing wrong. Alara observed them carefully, standing tall beside Rylan. She had worked hard, planned every detail, and made sure every action demonstrated the capability and ingenuity of humans. Lena followed close behind, proud of what they had accomplished together. After what felt like hours, the inspectors finally stepped back. One spoke to Rylan. "Your ranch exceeds our expectations. The systems are functional, the crops are healthy, and the land is clearly managed with skill. We will not be interfering further." Rylan exhaled deeply, relief washing over him. "It's done. They've accepted it." Lena ran to Alara, hugging her tightly. "We did it, Mommy. We saved the ranch." Alara hugged her back, smiling. "We did, Lena. Humans can do amazing things when we work together. Today proved it." Rylan placed a hand on Alara's shoulder. "You've done more than cook meals here. You've brought strength, intelligence, and heart to this ranch. You've become part of our family." Alara's eyes shimmered with gratitude. "Thank you, Rylan. I couldn't have done it without you and Lena. We're a team." That night, after the inspectors had departed, the family gathered in the kitchen. The twins' moons rose slowly over the plains, casting gentle silver light across the ranch. Alara prepared a simple meal, sharing stories of small victories from the day with Lena and Rylan. The warmth of the kitchen, the smell of food, and the quiet laughter made the house feel like a true home. Outside, the ranch was calm, resilient, and thriving, proof of human ingenuity, care, and heart. Alara looked out at the fields, the animals, and the gentle sway of crops in the breeze. Orlion 9 was a harsh world, but it was theirs, and together they had defended it. Humans had proven once again that strength was not just in machines or numbers, but in courage, creativity, and the bonds they shared. And in that quiet, victorious moment, Alara felt something she had never felt before, the certainty that together they could face anything this frontier world would throw at them. For Lena, for Rylan, for the ranch, for humanity. The dawn on Orlion 9 was gentle, soft light spilling over the horizon, reflecting off the distant hills and illuminating the fields of Cade Ranch. The twin suns rose slowly, golden and warm, casting long shadows across the land. Alara Quinn woke early, feeling a mixture of anticipation and calm. Today was important, not because of work alone, but because today was the moment they would show that their ranch, their home, was more than just a plot of land. It was a symbol of human ingenuity, courage, and heart. She dressed quickly, careful not to wake Lena, who was still asleep. The little girl had curled up under her blanket, her face peaceful. Alara felt a pang of tenderness. Lena had chosen her to be part of her life, to be her mother in some small way, and that bond had grown stronger every day. She would protect it, nurture it, and cherish it. Alara stepped outside into the fresh morning air. The plain stretched endlessly, alive with soft grasses swaying in the breeze. The animals were already moving about, grazing peacefully. The crops glimmered with dew, healthy and vibrant after all their efforts. It was a quiet, perfect moment, but she knew it would not last. The inspectors would arrive soon. Rylan emerged from the house, toolbox in hand, his expression calm but alert. "Morning," he said. "Everything ready?" Alara nodded. "As ready as we can be. We've shown them what humans can do before. Today we'll show them even more." Lena appeared, rubbing her eyes but smiling brightly. "I want to help," she said. "You already have, Lena," Alara said softly, "and today we'll do it together." By mid-morning, the inspectors arrived in a small, hovering vehicle. Their forms were tall, precise, and almost mechanical, moving with an efficiency that contrasted sharply with the warmth and life of the ranch. They carried devices to measure crop health, soil quality, and water distribution. Their sensors scanned the fields, moving methodically from one section to another. Ilara, Rylan, and Lena moved about the ranch, performing small tasks to demonstrate productivity. They checked water systems, examined plants, and tended to the animals. Every action was deliberate, precise, and full of care. Lena ran between them, her small hands helping to adjust supports, move trays of vegetables, and feed the animals. One of the inspectors paused, observing the work. "Your systems are functioning at high efficiency," he said. "Crops are healthy and the animals appear well cared for. But how do you manage without advanced automation?" Ilara smiled, brushing dirt from her hands. "Humans can adapt. We can think, solve problems, and work together. Technology is helpful, but humans, our creativity, teamwork, and care make everything possible." The inspector blinked, surprised at the confidence in her voice. "Interesting. Very well. Continue your demonstration." The inspection continued for hours. The trio moved seamlessly, showing the ranch at its best. Ilara had carefully repaired, organized, and adjusted everything to perfection. Lena's help was invaluable. Her small hands and quick mind had made difficult tasks easier. Ryland's strength and experience anchored them, giving stability to their efforts. At one point, a small section of the fencing threatened to collapse under a gust of wind. Without hesitation, Ilara instructed Lena to hold one side while Rylan reinforced it. The fence stood firm, a silent testament to the combination of human strength, ingenuity, and collaboration. The inspectors continued to move through the ranch, scanning, recording, and evaluating. Ilara watched closely, ensuring every detail was accounted for, every problem solved, and every task performed with care. This was more than a test of productivity. It was a test of humanity. By late afternoon, the inspections were nearly complete. The inspectors gathered in the main field, their devices scanning the entire ranch one last time. Ilara, Lena, and Rylan stood together, quiet but confident. One of the inspectors stepped forward. "We have completed our evaluation," he said. "Your ranch is fully functional. Your systems are operational, your crops are healthy, and your animals are thriving. Your methods, while unconventional, are highly effective." Rylan exhaled, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "So we've passed?" he asked. The inspector nodded. "Yes. We see now that the strength of humans, their ability to think, adapt, and care, cannot be measured solely by machines or standard metrics. You have earned the right to maintain ownership of this land." Ilara felt a rush of relief, pride, and joy. Lena ran to her side, hugging her tightly. "We did it. We really did it." Ilara hugged her back, smiling through tears of happiness. "Yes, we did, Lena. Together we did it." Rylan joined them, his hand resting on Ilara's shoulder. "I underestimated what humans could do, but now I see humans with heart and ingenuity can accomplish incredible things. You've saved this ranch, Ilara. You've saved our home." Ilara felt a deep sense of accomplishment. She had come to Orlia 9 expecting to cook meals, perhaps fix some equipment and live a quiet life. Instead, she had become a guardian, a problem solver, and a part of a new family. As the inspectors left, the ranch settled into quiet again. The wind whispered across the plains, carrying the scent of healthy soil, growing plants, and life. Ilara watched the sun lower toward the horizon, painting the fields in shades of gold and copper. Lena ran across the yard, chasing a small herd of animals, laughing with pure joy. Rylan leaned against the porch, watching both of them. "This place, it's alive," he said softly, "and it's ours, thanks to you, Ilara." Ilara smiled, feeling the warmth of the moment. "No, thanks to all of us. Humans, when we work together, can do amazing things. This ranch, our home, it's proof of that." Lena ran up to her, hugging her again. "I'm glad you're here, Mommy," she whispered. Ilara knelt down, holding the girl close. "I'm glad too, Lena. I've never felt more at home than I do here with you and Rylan." Rylan watched them, a rare softness in his eyes. "You've become more than I ever expected," he said. "More than a cook, more than a helper, your family." Alara felt a tear slip down her cheek, a mixture of happiness, relief, and gratitude. Orlia 9 had been harsh, unforgiving, and lonely, but it had also brought her exactly where she belonged. That night, the trio gathered in the kitchen. Alara cooked a simple meal, fresh vegetables, bread, and a little stew from their harvest. The smell of food filled the house, a comforting reminder of human care and ingenuity. Lena chattered excitedly about the day's successes, her small voice brimming with pride. Rylan listened quietly, occasionally adding comments of approval. When the meal ended, they sat together, watching the twin moons rise over the plains. The ranch was quiet, peaceful, and safe, a place where humans could thrive even on a harsh world. Alara reflected on the journey. She had arrived expecting a simple job, but she had found so much more. She had discovered the strength of humans, the power of care, ingenuity, and teamwork. She had found a new family, one that chose her just as she had chosen to protect and nurture them. And as she looked out over the glowing fields, the thriving crops, and the peaceful animals, she felt something deep within her: pride, hope, and a sense of belonging she had never known before. In the days that followed, life at Cade Ranch returned to a steady rhythm. Work continued, challenges arose, and the land demanded attention, but the family was ready. Together, they repaired, planted, and nurtured every corner of their home. And every day, Lena grew stronger, smarter, and more confident, inspired by Alara's guidance and courage. Rylan continued to work beside them, quietly proud, his respect and love for Alara growing with each passing day. And Alara, she thrived, not just as a cook or problem solver, but as a protector, teacher, and part of a family bound by trust, love, and shared purpose. Humans had proven once again that they could adapt, create, and thrive, even on the most distant, unforgiving worlds. And in that proof lay hope, strength, and the enduring truth of what it meant to be human. The story closed with a quiet scene of peace, the twin moons rising over the flourishing ranch, the wind whispering through healthy crops, and the small family standing together on the porch. Alara held Lena's hand in one of hers, while Ryland's arm rested on her shoulder. They looked out over the land they had fought for, nurtured, and protected, a testament to human heart, ingenuity, and courage. No machine, no storm, no challenge could ever replace what humans could do when they worked together, cared deeply, and refused to give up. And in that moment, Alara knew without a doubt that she was finally home.